10 live wires will be given the unique opportunity to share their creativity with the world and become the next top live wire. I'm your host, Heather Boyd Wire, and this is Live Wires for the Win, Season 3. 5 weeks of wire art challenges will count down to one winner of the grand prize, a collaboration video on my YouTube channel, a $100 gift certificate for my Etsy shop, and $200 worth of wire and tools from Beadalon. This is an elimination challenge with a twist. Viewers will have the opportunity to vote for their favorite creations and give feedback on the work. Your judges will be wire artist Heather Boyd, multimedia artist and author Patricia Srigley, and a weekly mystery judge. So welcome everybody to episode 2 of season 3 of Live Wires for the Win. So this week we have our regular judge, Patricia. Welcome back, Patricia.
Hi.
And we have a special guest judge, Shannon Phelan is here. And Shannon, I am going to just introduce you and you can tell us a little bit about your work. But Shannon is a self-taught wire wrapping jeweler, primarily using seaglass. She started a small hobby business in 2020, which has since evolved to a full-time work, both creating and teaching wiring online. She can be found on Instagram at seaglass.collections and Etsy at seaglassbyshannon.etsy.com. So Shannon, just tell us a wee bit about your work and also that you teach, because we have a lot of wire makers that would love to learn more about wrapping seaglass.
Like I said, completely self-taught. It's been, I would say, about 8 years maybe. Started very simple with a pile of seaglass that landed on my doorstep.
Wow.
And just by experimenting with different things, my first wiring kit came from a dollar store.
Nice.
Using craft wire and a pencil. And I wired my first piece like that. And then bit by bit, it's just evolved. And I started on Facebook, moved over to Instagram.
Yes.
And now it's just opening up into a lot of new opportunities.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I love your Instagram. I love your videos. So we'll definitely send people over there to check out your work. And this week's theme was time in a bottle. And as always, participants can interpret the theme in any way that they see fit. And there's all kinds of interesting interpretations, use of materials. So we are going to start with Cynthia. And Cynthia writes, "The theme, time in a bottle, for me represents the passing of my precious 18-year-old pup Scooter 2 years ago. After his passing, I bought some sand to provide a base for the headstone and put some of the sand in the bottle. The green bottle signifies life to me, and I will always have living memories of Scooter with the wire sleeve holding the green bottle and protecting it. Perhaps it is me holding all the precious memories of Scooter in my heart, so this has become my time in a bottle tribute of remembrance to my pup. I use 16, 18, 20, and 26 gauge wire to make the bottle sleeve. There were 6 components in total wired together to make 3 finished components, and then those were wired together to make the sleeve for the bottle. I use painter's tape and wire ties to hold the pieces together when wiring them all together." Patricia, would you like to start with Cynthia's piece?
Sure. Yeah, no, I absolutely loved it as soon as I saw it. It really spoke to me, the patterning, the spirals, it's almost like a timeless symbol. It looks almost tribal in some ways, in the symmetrical patterning and those cute little spirals coming off the top and even the crystal top. I thought it worked really, really well. And of course, it was very meaningful, which is important. So I really loved it.
So Shannon, tell me what you think of the piece.
Well, I just like that she chose the color green because green to me it's a symbol of life.
Yes.
And it seemed to me, because she had so many different components, and yet at the same time they're all became intertwined, that the idea of taking a life and bringing the memories of that life together into one
Yes.
piece
Yeah.
was, to me, it was really powerful. So I thought they were so intricate, but then so are the memories in the lifetime Scooter. So
Yeah.
Scooter has many, many facets of his own life, and I thought they were really brought together really well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I thought it was a really beautiful piece, interesting concept of using the actual bottle
Mhm.
as well. And the color, for sure, the color was really symbolic. And, you know, our pets are so precious. It's really lovely symbolism that she hasn't put ashes in this container, but it could be something that you might opt to do something like that in as well. And so to have a very powerful, meaningful piece to encompass the memories. Really lovely work. Beautiful,
Mhm.
Cynthia. So now we're going to go to Amanda, and Amanda writes, this week I decided to make Christmas decorations representing time and the things we like to do to pass the time when we're not working. This whole wire journey actually started because I wanted to make Christmas decorations, albeit out of clay. However, I did a Google search for ideas and I came across wire decorations, and well, the rest is history. Funnily enough, I actually got sidetracked and started making wire jewelry, so never made decorations until now. The clock tower represents one of my favorite times visiting Big Ben with my son. I'm a painter and I work with acrylic, which is on the tip of the paintbrush. I'm fortunate enough to live along the coastline of Australia, and when I need time to reflect, I often do so under the shade of a palm tree, looking out over the water. And finally, I feel most free when I hop on my motorcycle and can forget time and problems that exist. I did a 10-strand braiding technique for the tires. Lots of different gauges, types, colors, and techniques explored this week. Hope these make you smile. I can't wait to hang them on my tree. So I'll start with Amanda's work. I thought these were incredibly well crafted. You know, Amanda is actually a beginner wire artist. When she applied for the competition, she had only been working on wire for a few months, but she obviously has taken to the medium really well. Well, I like her simple lines, really clean work, and being able to convey an image in just a few very simple lines. Like the motorcycle is amazing. You could feel the movement in the motorcycle. I love the waves around the palm tree, and the paintbrush with the little dab of actual paint on the end is so cool. And I love that these are functional to be able to hang them on the tree, and they could become a tradition, hanging these on the tree, and that becomes also a reflection of time that passes each year, and you have your decorations that you put on the tree. So I thought this was really a really lovely collection. So Patricia, what do you think of Amanda's work?
It's really impressive. I'm surprised that you'd said she'd only been working on with wire for a short time, because it looks like, she's been doing this a very long time. All of her ornaments have such lovely shapes, and I really liked her color choices.
Yes.
And I find they had a solidity to them, because she's used a fair amount of wire and really wrapped it into solid shapes. And yeah, each of the ornaments is stands on its own, and it's just beautiful. But my favorite is the paintbrush.
Nice. Of
Yeah,
course, you're a
lovely
painter.
workmanship.
Awesome. And Shannon, what did you think of Amanda's work?
It was really fun. And I didn't realize that she has only a few months of experience. You would never know it to look at
Yeah,
it. I thought it was beautiful.
yeah.
I can relate to Amanda so well. I know what it is to be a creative person and start with one project, and then you take a look at what's optional, and your mind just goes off into so many different directions. It's so hard then to recenter yourself and stick to one project.
Yes.
So I can very much relate to the struggle to that. But what caught my eye the most of all these pieces was actually the motorcycle. And
Mm,
I'm not typically I wouldn't take a trip myself on it, but the lines, they almost have a fluid movement to it. It's almost
yeah,
like looking at it and it's moving without actually going anywhere. And to me that just looks like so much talent, and
yeah.
being able to have such symmetry, and the lines are so clean. And anyway, I thought it was so much fun. And yeah, it brought a smile to my face.
Awesome. Yeah, wonderful work, Amanda. Great job. So next we have Ashita, and Ashita writes, for the theme Time in a Bottle, I have made this bottle wire art. Here, as you can see, I have made a 4 seasons wire tree and a time turner inspired by the Harry Potter movies. My piece represents that there is a city where everyone lives together in peace and happiness. There was a person in the city who had a time turner that he used to go in different times or dimensions. One day, the time turner started malfunctioning and things went out of control. It opened a time portal, which caused a malfunction of time, and the city started facing different phases of time from spring to winter, all just in one day. Sometimes it was spring, and sometimes it was autumn, while sometimes winter. Sometimes it also happened that they faced all the seasons together. For this art, I have used 24 gauge wire for the tree, 20 gauge and 26 gauge wire for the time turner, a bottle, fairy lights, and different types of beads. So Shannon, would you like to start with Ashita's?
Yeah, I thought that this was such a storytelling piece. I really did. You could just take a look at it and the creativity that's in it, taking so many different pieces and so many different elements, putting them all together. And my eye goes to the tree, the seasons. It's really, really well done. There's so many different colors, and colors have a lot of meaning.
Mhm.
I thought it was just really well done. I thought it really was like a story in a bottle.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
No, I agree with you. And I love the simplicity of the time turner. You know, it's a beautiful piece. I would
Mhm.
wear that as a pendant. Yeah,
I would too.
it's really lovely.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
tree, it's true with the different colors, you know, to show
Mhm.
reflect the different seasons. That's very, I mean, it's a perfect symbol, the tree that is changing the
It is.
colors.
Yeah.
It's
The
really
tree of life
nice.
is, yeah, it's very symbolic.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love
Mhm.
that all the different colors are on the one tree, and yeah, really lovely. And then she's got her little lights to light it up as
Mhm.
well. So really pretty design, lovely work, Ashita. And Patricia, what do you think of Ashita's work?
Yeah. Oh, well, again, I just was blown away. I felt it was, as has been said, very storytelling.
Mhm.
And it brings to mind the ship in the bottle when the ship is bigger than the neck of the bottle and you're going, how did it get in there?
True, I
That's
didn't even
And
exactly
think
what I
about
thought.
that.
yeah, and I
I thought
get
it
the
was
same
genius.
feeling from this. It's like the tree
Yeah.
looks like it would be bigger than the neck of the bottle, so it's very magical that it's in there.
Mhm.
It's true,
And I
eh?
love her color choices and the story. And again, the fact that it can also be a little light, like you
Mhm.
could have that on your nightstand, or
Mhm.
you're having a romantic dinner and you have this on the table and it's just magical. Yeah, I thought this was amazing.
Beautiful work, Ashita. Love it. So next we have Karen, and Karen writes, being a plant lover, the first thing that came to mind when I read the theme Time in a Bottle was a terrarium. Time is marked by repetition. The sun rises and sets, seasons change, and living things go through the biological cycle of birth, life, and death. This week's submission is a hanging window decoration showing the life cycle of plants in a bottle. We start on the left with the beginning of the life cycle represented by a dying fern and fallen petal. They will decompose to provide nutrients for the next generation of plants. Below that is a newly planted seed, followed by a sprouting seed with its roots growing, the start of a new generation. The next stage is the seedling with its cotyledons showing. The final figure on the right is the flower in bloom. The substrate of the earth is a pebble layer followed by soil and topped with moss and grass-like plants. I've used colored craft wire in 16, 18, 20, and 26 gauges and 12 gauge aluminum for the frame. I don't have much colored wire at hand, so it was primarily used as an accent. I've used some crystals as seeds. The chain and the hook are 18 gauge silver colored craft wire. I thought Karen's was really lovely. I love the idea that she did a wire bottle as the frame for her piece. And she really talked a lot about the cycle of the plant. It's definitely expressing the concept of time. I love the details of her plants. I loved her little ferns with the little leaves on them and the flowers. She said she was limited with her colors, but it works well as sort of a very organic, earthy piece. Patricia, what did you think of Karen's piece?
Yeah, I thought her piece felt very organic, and her plants were like, they looked like they were growing. And I liked how the earth was done with black wire, and the silver roots really stood out against it. And of course, the colored flowers. The shape of the bottle reminded me a little bit of like the genie in the bottle. And instead of a genie, it's these plant seeds that would grow into amazing things. And yeah, I felt the whole thing worked very well as a whole. And I liked that it would hang in a window. I think that would make it really be something you would enjoy.
I was really taken with this piece. I really was. The idea of a terrarium and encompassing life, and the theme of the week being time in a bottle, it's all been pulled together. And I didn't even realize actually that she felt limited by the amount of color, because I thought that the colors that she did choose fit so well
Yes.
that had there been anything more, then would have taken away from the idea of
Agreed.
the different seasons of life. So
Yeah.
to me, it actually looks like a poem in a bottle. That's how I interpret it. It looks like a creatively written story from right from the very beginning all the way to the end. And I thought it was absolutely beautiful.
Nice. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, great job, Karen. Beautiful. So next we have Amy, and Amy writes, this week's theme instantly made me think of my mother. That was her favorite song, Time in the Bottle. You guys know the song? I finally went back and forth with so many ideas, but to put the concept into a wire piece finally came to me in the form of an hourglass. I used 18 gauge rose gold wire for the round frame. I used 26 gauge rose gold to wrap the frame, and I used 18 gauge silver coated copper wire to string the sands of time, the 1 millimeter silver coated beads for my grains of sand. Time is so precious. It's something to be treasured. I know the piece is simple, but hopefully profound in symbolism. So Patricia, what do you think of Amy's piece?
She did say it was simple, but I felt the simplicity just worked. It's so stylish. Like it's beautiful. I was unsure of the size, and I could see it as a pendant you would wear. And I mean, just the design of it as a pendant is so beautiful. And I really liked the little bead sand. Yeah, I just felt it really was wonderful, and it all held together.
Yeah, I don't think it's very big, because if it's 18 gauge and the little beads are a millimeter, I think it is probably pendant size or like a large pendant. And Shannon, what do you think of Amy's piece?
Well, I think that if her goal was to make it simple, then the simplicity of it is actually what makes it so pretty. It's what actually brings out the symbolism in it. And there's almost nothing I can think of that would encompass the idea of time rather than an hourglass. And for her to have thought of her mother right away would suggest to me that there's something really heartfelt about it.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's probably a pendant because of the bail and the way it's wrapped. But in that sense, perhaps maybe she's either losing time or is wishing for more time. And a pendant would be held right here, which is also really close to your heart. So I couldn't help but think that there's a lot more to this piece than what really meets the eye. So the symbolism here I thought it was really, really stunning.
Yeah, I agree with you. I find this to be a very powerful piece. I often tell people, less is more, and it's not a cliche. It's actually really true, because when we're faced with too much detail, our mind often gets fragmented. But with a piece like this, Even though it is simple, there's so much to it. Like when I look at the hourglass, it actually reminds me of a female figure, which is because it's a feminine piece about her mom, and with the beads could be like even say her mom had worn beads and pearls. It looks like a woman figure to me, and the rose gold is a lovely choice of colors. And a really interesting solution to the sand going down through the bottle. I think it's a beautiful piece. Definitely would wear a pendant that looked like that. That's really, really, really lovely.
Yeah.
Awesome work, Amy.
The concept of less is more is actually very well said.
Yeah.
That's something that I try to incorporate in jewelry all the time, is the beauty of the sea glass is what should draw the eye. The wire just accents what's already there.
Exactly.
And I think that's exactly what pulls out in this piece.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Sometimes when I work with either with wire or even with drawing, I take photos in the stages as I go to the next step, because often you'll go that extra step and you've overdone it type of thing. So I like to have a memory of how the piece looked before I took it to the next level. And sometimes I'll pull it back, and other times I'll just keep it as a memory and to just keep playing it with it, because that's art, right? You just can keep going.
Sometimes they just take on a life of their own.
Yes, exactly.
We don't always know what it's going to look like at the end.
Exactly. That's right. So next we have Nicole. And Nicole writes, "It is said that there are 7 stages of grief. We grieve the loss of those we love, broken relationships and friendships, and even parts of ourselves. It's a process that has no specified time frame and changes with every loss. It can feel chaotic and is never ever linear. Yet over time, grief transforms us. In my piece, each stage is represented by a color. The eye and tears depict the non-linear and sometimes chaotic feeling of grief. The butterfly shows our transformation over time." So the colors she's used are black for emptiness, purple for shock and denial, red for anger, blue for depression and detachment, green for dialogue and bargaining, pink for acceptance, and silver, finding the meaning in life again, transformation. Shannon, would you like to start with Nicole's piece?
Yeah, I really like this one. I think what jumps to me is it's the colors. The colors are so strong, and she's not just randomly chosen them, or she's even put them in a very specific order. And when I looked at the various photos that she took of the stages of the project, then everything is so intentional. And she's chosen some parts are very simple, some of them are very tight in their weave, and yet at the same time she finishes off with a transformation. So she's taking you from a stage of grief where it's raw and it's hard and it's painful, right through to where you can begin to accept the fact that there's new life. To me, I thought it was very powerful. It really was. Well done.
And Patricia, what do you think of Nicole's piece?
I like that it was very surreal, like the big eyeball and the butterfly. It brought to mind surreal artwork, and I really appreciated that. And I liked the addition of the little gears, almost, I guess they were gears, to enhance the butterfly wings and the antenna. Yeah, and I thought the idea was very original and well produced and brought to life.
I agree with you. I love the symbolism behind the colors, and the fact that she didn't, use the literal idea of time in a bottle. She's just talking about time with regards to the specific idea of grief and moving through grief, and how it is a long-term process that does take time. I love the eye. It was a very powerful focal point in the piece. And the idea of a butterfly as a symbol of transformation is the classic thing that kids learn when they go to school. And interesting that there's a little bit of whimsy in it too, with the antennas and then the movement of the lines in the wings. So there's a lot going on in this piece. It's very thought-provoking, beautiful piece. Very nice, Nicole. So next we have Stacy, and Stacy writes, For time in a bottle, I thought of many ideas, but it all came back to life and family. I did an hourglass with all the generations of our family and our past loved ones, parents and angel, to represent how they are always watching over us. I decided to challenge myself and not add any other mediums. This piece is all wire, 24 gauge, 18 gauge, and many different techniques. So Patricia, would you like to start with Stacy's?
Yeah, this was a really involved piece. I'm so impressed that everyone thought so deeply about this theme. It's amazing. And yeah, in this hourglass shape, to me, the figures are not going, like time isn't going down, but these figures are crawling up against time, and all these little bodies fighting to climb up from the tombstones with the, and then the balloons to help them float. Just the idea behind this really blew me away. I like that all these figures had different hair. So yeah, really, really complex piece, and it's fun to look at and try and see what's going on and make your own little story about it.
And Shannon, what do you think of Stacy's piece?
Well, actually, one of the things that caught my attention when I read about it was the challenge that she gave herself not to add any extra mediums into it. Because when I first took a look at the piece and I thought, there's so much happening here. And then the breakdown between the fairies at the top to all the way to the bottom, then you're right. Moving, it doesn't go from top to bottom, even though you think the generations further back are sort of farther away on the timeline, but it's not really. It really is going from bottom to top, which I thought was very unique. There's a lot of thought in there. There's some color in there, but it must have been a real challenge. I like this one.
Yeah, very, very involved for sure. Yeah, I love those little figures, the little wire wrapped figures. And it's true, she just restricted herself to wire, which was interesting since this is a wire art competition. I always tell people they can add little bits of beads and other things, but it's always interesting when it's all made of wire. I loved her angel, really lovely, very well done. And the little swirls to represent like the sand going down the hourglass as well, and with the little handle on it so you could see that you could hang it on the wall. It would be a very cool wire art wall piece. And yeah, nice variety of color and textures. Very, very interesting ideas behind it. Very personal piece. Lovely job, Stacy. So last but not least, we have Sharon, and Sharon writes, my piece is time in a bottle. I use the lunar phases as the time, since that's when people plant their crops. The full moon, half, quarter, and crescent are silver aluminum wire, and the bottle is made of 18 gauge, 26 gauge copper wire. It's hard to put time in a bottle. So I'll start with this one. Sharon had a very interesting solution to make the bottle. It's like a basket weave. It's interesting that she chose that as a way to make it like a solid freestanding structure. She has the nice solid base with the flat wire, and then she's woven it up in a kind of a basket weave to create the idea of 3 dimensions, because it's always a challenge with wire to make something 3-dimensional and freestanding. I found that was a very interesting solution. And then she has the 4 phases of the moon, which is a really lovely concept as well. I definitely like that she's just used like the 2 colors of wire. You can distinctly see the moons and then the copper wire of the bottle. But yeah, it's super fun. Nice, Sharon. Shannon, what do you think of Sharon's piece?
It is a lot of fun. I think it's quite unique that the entire thing is constructed and standing as just with wire. That's got a lot of skill to it, and I wouldn't have thought it, but it really is time in a bottle. It's taking the exact theme and it's presented it in such a way that it's really well done. My eye actually catches the top, the top move, and it's a progression that comes from the bottom moving up to the top, and I thought it was really well done.
And Patricia, what do you think of Sharon's work?
I felt this was very sculptural, even though, as you say, wire is not terribly solid or bulky. But to me, this piece as a whole was sculptural, from the base and up to the top of the bottle, which almost looks like a tornado swirling and swirling and enclosing the phases of the moon. I especially like that the bottle on the edges, you could see that it was almost like it was broken and you could go into it. So even though it was a bottle, there were ways in and out, like it was broken. Yeah, I thought this worked really well as a freestanding sculpture.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge to get wire to stand up like that. Baskets are so
Yeah.
much fun to make too. And a lot of people use that type of weave, like with sea glass too. A lot of people wrap sea glass and stones in that kind of basket weave as well. It's super, super fun.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome job, Sharon.
That's right.
And now a word from our viewers. For Cynthia, fabulous, great design, touching story. The wire weaving is very well done. The addition of the small clock on the bottle is wonderful. Very nice. I love the design you created around the bottle. The weaving is great. Thanks for sharing. Great job. And for Amanda, beautiful colors. Wow, this is my favorite for this week. You're great at bending that wire. Super nice, and you are so skilled. Love this. Wow, beautiful pieces. And for Ashita, how beautiful is that tree and its colors? Literally time in a bottle. The nature scene represents all the seasons well. Wow, I love the tree inside your bottle. It's adorable. I've never seen a bottle like that before today, and now I've seen two. Yours is so pretty. Great job. And for Karen, artistic and embodies the theme. I'm a plant lover too. Your terrarium is perfect. The concept of time in a bottle is very well put together here. The shaping and forming are well done too. Cool, love the ferns. Great description. And for Amy, simplistic but still neat. Your mother would be proud. Awesome, great idea, love it. Love the shape of the hourglass and the silver beads. Beautiful piece. And for Nicole, thoughtful, imaginative, and beautiful. Great use of colors, poignant description. What a creative idea with the butterfly, the transformation. I like the steampunk cogs and the eye and the details of the lashes. I love your focal point, the eye, and you have such movement in the wings of the butterfly. And for Stacy, nice details and great creativity. This is wire art that is understood immediately. The people are wonderfully done. The silver swirls are very pretty as well. I love how you included handmade chaos roses. They are beautiful. Great job. And for Sharon, I love the way you made the bottle with the moons. Love the creativity. I love the concept you came up with. Your bottle is beautifully made and the different stages of the moon cycle are brilliant. Great job. And the vote for the viewer's favorite this week is Nicole. Congratulations, Nicole, and thank you for sharing your beautiful and meaningful piece. Good. So now comes the fun part where we get to choose our favorites for this week. This is always a tricky part because there's so many beautiful aspects to all of the work, but we do have to narrow it down to our 3 favorites. So that is what we're going to do now. So what I'll get everybody to do is to name their 3 favorites in order, starting with their favorite. So Shannon, would you like to tell us your 3 favorites?
Number 1 was Karen with the terrarium. That really grabbed my attention, very much so. And my second favorite was Amy with the hourglass and the passing of time. And number 3 was the stages of grief with Nicole.
And Patricia, what were your 3 favorites?
Ashita number 1, Cynthia number 2, and Amy number 3.
So my top 3 for this week are Nicole, Amy, and Karen. So the winner this week is Amy. Congratulations, Amy. You are the winner
Well
of
done.
week 2 of Live Wires for the Win. So congratulations. So now comes the hardest part. We have to choose 2 people that will not be returning next week. So this is always very hard. Everybody's done amazing work and everything is so creative and so different. We're just going to have to bite the bullet and do this. So Patricia, who are the 3 people you're considering not to return next week?
This was exceptionally hard this week because I would pick Nicole and Karen and Stacy.
And Shannon, who are the 3 people you're considering to go home this week?
This is really hard. The 3 people that I'm considering are Amanda, Ashita, and Sharon.
And the 3 people that I'm considering to go home this week are Sharon, Stacy, and Ashita. We discussed the results, and because Ashita was in Patricia's top 3, we decided that we'd have to say goodbye to Stacy and Sharon this week. So guys, it was really not an easy choice, but we have decided that the participants that are going home this week are Stacy and Sharon. And ladies, thank you so much for your amazing creations up to date. It was a very, very difficult decision, and we encourage you to continue sharing your beautiful work in the Wire Makers Club. And I want to thank you, Shannon, so much for being a guest judge this week.
Thank you for having me. It's been so much fun.
Oh, it's been just great. I really loved your insight and your feedback, and we're going to send everybody over to your Instagram and to check out what you're doing with Seaglass. That's awesome. And thank you, Patricia, always for hopping on for the judging. Well, good luck, everybody, for week 3. And thank you to all the viewers for voting and all your great feedback. And we'll see you guys the next time. Bye.